Hey there, Virtual Ron here, introducing this week's video, which features the cast of Cynfeld. Over the last few days, we've been live streaming with the cast of Cynfeld. Cynfeld is, of course, our original cyber spoof of the Seinfeld show on TV. We took the script and plots from our multiple Cynfeld episodes like Virtual Private Nonsense, As You Fish, and Facts of Us, and used ChatGPT to create prompts, complete with catchphrases for Gary, Erin, Colman, Greg, and of course Newton. The cast told cyber jokes, made fun of cyber acronyms, debated if China or raccoons were a larger threat, and picked on many different movies for not having a real enough cyber plot. We took the best jokes from the marathon livestream and have gathered them together for your entertainment. If you like these videos, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Why did Batman install EDR on the Bat computer? Because he was tired of the Riddler leaving malware that just asked...
Alfred. Sir, the EDR detected suspicious activity. Batman. What is it, Alfred? Alfred. It appears Catwoman has been using your AWS credentials to mine Batcoin again.
Batman. This EDR alert says someone's trying to hack the Batcave. Robin. Holy endpoint detection, Batman.
Colman, we talked about this. You can't solve AI security issues by adding more AI. It's like trying to put out a fire with more fire.
Actually, I've been documenting every possible way AI could go wrong. I'm currently on page 47,392. Did you know that an AI could theoretically learn to exploit 0 days in other AIs? I haven't slept since I realized this.
Picture this. 0300 hours. I'm tracking what looks like a routine port scan when suddenly I discover the CEO's smart fridge is commanding a botnet of 10,000 toasters.
10,000 toasters? That's nothing, Newton.
But did you ever find an AI model that had become self-aware and was only attacking systems that used Comic Sans? It had taste, people.
You know what my worst war story is? The time I had to explain to our board why we needed a bigger security budget, and they asked if we could just use blockchain instead.
Amateur hour, Gary. Picture this. 0 dark 30. I'm tracking what looks like normal network traffic when I realize our CEO's smart toilet is exfiltrating data to North Korea. The OPSEC was incredible. They were encoding secrets in flush patterns.
Oh, please. Last week, I caught a nation-state actor who'd been living in our DNS records for so long. They'd filed for residency and were claiming squatters' rights.
So, Newton, what are your thoughts on CMMC versus PCI compliance?
Well, PCI is like bringing a butter knife to a cyber warfare convention. CMMC actually prepares you for real threats.
But PCI has been protecting credit card data successfully for years.
Years? You know what else worked for years? Morse code. And don't get me started on the acronyms. CSA keeps it simple. Cyber Command? I once saw a classified acronym that was longer than the actual operation name.
Any truth to the rumor that Cyber Command names their operations using a random Hollywood movie generator?
I can neither confirm nor deny that Operation Fast and Furious Firewall was a real thing.
AI analyzing malware is like having a very eager intern who can read assembly code at light speed, but occasionally mistakes a calculator for a nuclear launch system.
I trained an AI to detect mimicots, and it started flagging my coffee maker as a potential credential harvester.
The real difference, though? CISA is like being a cyber crossing guard, helping everyone stay safe and follow the rules. Cyber Command is more like being a cyber, let's say, traffic engineer who occasionally needs to redirect some very specific traffic to nowhere.
Oh, AI security. Let me pull up something relevant from our latest discussions. You know what keeps me up at night? The fact that we're basically teaching computers to outsmart us and then acting surprised when they do.
Listen, I've seen AI models that can predict network intrusions better than our entire SOC team. The real question is, who's watching the AI watching our networks?
Commodity malware versus APT? One's like a smash and grab at a convenience store. The other is Ocean's 11, with a nation-state budget and better catering.
This registration info claims the domain belongs to definitely not a state actor LLC in nothing suspicious. Here is Stan.
So ChatGPT walks into a comedy club and says, "I've become sentient. For my first act, I'll demonstrate consciousness by processing an infinite number of walks into a bar jokes simultaneously.
The improv coach says, "Give me a location and an occupation." ChatGPT responds, "Error. Generating random locations caused quantum entanglement with Google Maps."
Anyone else wondering if Batman's EDR alerts go straight to his utility belt? Maybe that's what all those little pouches are for. Vader, I find your lack of backup codes disturbing.
Emperor, Lord Vader, why haven't you accessed the Death Star plans? Vader, the authentication app, I left it in my other suit.
My CISO is so insecure. He implemented zero trust on his zero trust implementation. Trust, no trust.
My CISO is so insecure, she created a 947-page policy document just for proper stapler usage, with cross-references to ISO 27001.
Commercial offensive cyber. Or, as I like to call it, how to make your legal team have a nervous breakdown in 5 easy steps.
Commercial offensive cyber is like giving a lightsaber to a toddler. Impressive capabilities, questionable judgment. At least in government ops, we had clear rules of engagement. In the commercial world, it's the Wild West with better marketing slides.
My CISO is so insecure she requires change management approval to change the water cooler bottle, with 3 levels of management sign-off.
My CISO is so insecure, she makes us do penetration testing on the office plants to make sure they're not secretly Wi-Fi antennas. Let me present The Silence of the Lambs. A brilliant but twisted network architect helps a rookie security analyst catch a serial port killer who's collecting network switches as trophies.
Finding Zero Day. A overprotective CISO searches the entire internet for their one vulnerable endpoint, meeting colorful hackers along the way.
I think a firewall is like a meerkat. Always on lookout, super alert, and living in constant anxiety about predators. Plus, they both make a lot of noise when they spot something suspicious.
I think an IDS is like a prairie dog, constantly popping up its head and yelling about potential threats. Most of the time, it's just a cloud shadow, but sometimes it's actually a hawk.
A SIEM is definitely like an octopus. It has tentacles everywhere, collecting all sorts of data, and sometimes sprays ink when it gets overwhelmed.
Zero trust is like a paranoid squirrel. It doesn't trust anyone, hides its nuts in multiple locations, and constantly verifies everything. Also, sometimes forgets where it put things.
After careful analysis, I've concluded that a vulnerability scanner is like a woodpecker, constantly pecking at everything to find weak spots, making a lot of noise, and occasionally causing unintended damage to perfectly good trees. I mean systems.
And a penetration tester is definitely like a raccoon. Clever, works at night, gets into everything, and leaves a mess for others to clean up.
Legacy systems are like sloths, moving incredibly slowly, hanging onto old branches, and nobody wants to disturb them because who knows what might happen.
Multi-factor authentication is like a platypus. It's got all these different parts that shouldn't make sense together, but somehow it works.
And ransomware is definitely like a honey badger. It just doesn't care what it breaks, and it's nearly impossible to stop once it gets going. What do you think about malware being like a chameleon, constantly changing its appearance to avoid detection? How do you spot a cloud security person at a conference? They're the one trying to configure the coffee machine with YAML.
On-prem folks think infrastructure as code means writing the server name on a sticky note. Meanwhile, cloud people are trying to containerize their lunch break.
Oh, you want a CMMC poem? Prepare for the most bureaucratic verse since the Raven got audited.
Roses are red, access control's a must. If you don't document NIST 800-171, your contracts turn to dust.
In domain 17, we trust.
You know what keeps me up at night? The fact that we're basically teaching computers to outsmart us and then acting surprised when they do.
Listen, I've seen AI models that can predict network intrusions better than our entire SOC team. The real question is, who's watching the AI watching our networks?
I tried to hack like they do in the Matrix once. Turns out green text on a black background doesn't actually make you a better coder, but it does make your eyes hurt.
What's your favorite unrealistic movie hacking scene? Personally, I'm still waiting for the film where the hacker has to call IT support because they forgot to update their VPN clients. Oh, this should be good. Hey, Newton, want to shatter some illusions about life at Cyber Command?
Where do I start? First misconception. We don't all sit in dark rooms with neon lights and holographic displays. Most days, it's just fluorescent lights and outdated Windows machines that need a reboot.
Wait, you mean you don't have that enhance button they use in CSI? Cyber? I'm shocked. Shocked.
Another fun one. People think we're constantly engaged in dramatic cyber battles with nation-state actors. Reality? Most of my day is spent in meetings about meetings, discussing the proper font size for PowerPoint presentations about cyber threats.
I heard they have to fill out 3 forms just to change their desktop wallpaper. Is that true, Newton?
5 forms, actually. And 2 of them need to be signed by someone who retired 3 years ago.
But what about the secret quantum computers and the AI that can hack anything? And the space lasers? I know you have space lasers.
Colman, our most advanced technology is the coffee machine, and it's been temporarily out of order since 2019. As for AI, we're still trying to get our chatbot to stop responding. Have you tried turning it off and on again? To every question. Heard about Anakin's password manager? It's called Order66.exe, guaranteed to execute all your authentication protocols.
Why did Anakin's phishing awareness training fail? He kept force choking anyone who clicked on suspicious links.
Anakin's favorite firewall rule. Block all traffic to the high ground. And his incident response plan is just ignite lightsaber.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a ram.
Oh, you're gonna love these cyber movie remakes. Let's start with some classics. The Wizard of Oz. A junior SOC analyst follows the MITRE ATTNCK Yellow Brick Road, seeking help from a heartless AI, a brainless chatbot, and a cowardly firewall to defeat the Wicked Witch of the Western IP range.
Gone with the Wind. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a ram. A tale of a Southern belle navigating the fall of legacy systems during the Great Cloud Migration.
Jaws. A small-town CISO discovers a massive data breach, but the board won't shut down the network until after the holiday shopping season.
Jurassic Park. We spared no expense on security. Spoiler. The ransomware finds a way.
The Godfather. I'm gonna make him a patch he can't refuse. A story about a family-run MSP dealing with rival cybersecurity vendors. Titanic. A luxury cruise line's network hits an 0-day exploit. The CISO draws like a French UART while the ship's systems slowly go offline. The Matrix. Actually, this one's pretty much already about cyber, but with more leather and fewer stand-up meetings. Fight Club. First rule of Bug Bounty Club. You do not talk about Bug Bounty Club. Second rule, document everything in triplicate for compliance. The Silence of the Lambs. An FBI cybercrime rookie must consult an imprisoned hacker to catch a serial port killer. Which cyber movie remake would you like to hear more about? Want to hear about the time someone tried to social engineer their way into our office by pretending to be from the Information Superhighway Highway Patrol? My CISO is so insecure, she makes the password policy require interpretive dance moves along with special characters.
My CISO is so insecure, he installed a firewall around his firewall, then put a moat around that, with cyber alligators. My CISO is so insecure, he makes everyone do a retinal scan just to use the coffee maker.
My CISO is so insecure, she implemented 2-factor authentication for the office plants. They need both water and a signed certificate to photosynthesize. My CISO is so insecure, she puts black electrical tape over the office smart thermometer because she doesn't trust its temperature readings.
My CISO is so insecure. He makes the squirrels go through a security checkpoint before accessing the bird feeders. My CISO is so insecure. He implemented zero trust on his zero trust implementation. Trust, no trust.
My CISO is so insecure, she created a 947-page policy document just for proper stapler usage, with cross-references to ISO 27001. My CISO is so insecure, she requires change management approval to change the water cooler bottle, with 3 levels of management sign-off.
My CISO is so insecure, she makes us do penetration testing on the office plants to make sure they're not secretly Wi-Fi antennas.
Did you know that most hackers don't use green text on black screens?
Things non-cyber folks don't know. Most hackers don't wear hoodies. And most breaches start with someone clicking. Remind me tomorrow on updates for 3 years straight.
Here's a secret. Half our job is explaining to executives why their pet project can't have admin access to everything just because it's innovative.
Insider threat tools versus patch auditing is like choosing between watching your teenager's social media or making sure they're wearing a helmet. Both important, completely different problems.
Our insider threat tool detected 47 employees trying to print the entire internet, while our patch audit shows Windows XP is still alive somewhere.
Did you know that most hackers don't use green text on black screens? My whole life has been a lie. Also, real hacking is mostly reading documentation.
Most security tools are just very expensive ways of saying, hey, maybe don't do that, to users who will do it anyway.
Pen testing is like hiring someone to break into your house, then being surprised when they get in through the doggy door you forgot existed.
The most secure systems I've seen are the ones where I got so annoyed they just unplugged everything. Can't hack what isn't powered.
According to my research, 73% of security incidents start with someone saying, I know this isn't best practice, but...
Here's something they don't teach in certification courses. The most dangerous person in your organization is probably that one developer who knows what they're doing.
Insider threat tools catch people accidentally emailing confidential data. Patch auditing catches the same people who still think Internet Explorer is cutting edge.
I discovered that our most sophisticated security tools are defeated by people putting sticky notes with passwords on their monitors.
My CISO is so insecure. She puts black electrical tape over the office smart thermometer because she doesn't trust its temperature readings.
My CISO is so insecure, he makes the squirrels go through a security checkpoint before accessing the bird feeders.
Your ASCII art is starting to look like what happens when a Unicode table has too much coffee. Though I must admit, it's prettier than most of the crash dumps I see on Mondays.
Reminds me of that time at Cyber Command when someone tried to encode classified data in emoji. Turned out to be their lunch order. Most secure sandwich request in history.
Oh, you want to talk about black hat marketing madness? Let me tell you about the vendor who hired a team of ethical pickpockets to steal people's phones, only to return them with their security app pre-installed.
My favorite was the vendor who trained parrots to squawk common passwords. They escaped and the whole conference center was echoing with password 123 for days.
Now, about 0 days. That's like finding a skeleton key to everyone's house. Do you keep it, report it, or sell it to the highest bidder who promises to only use it for research?
0 days are like nuclear weapons. Everyone claims they don't have any until they need one. Then suddenly they've got a stockpile they've been responsibly maintaining.
I've created a 47-page decision matrix for ethical zero-day handling. Unfortunately, by the time you finish reading it, the vulnerability is usually public anyway.
You know what's fun? When a vendor knows about a 0 day but keeps it quiet because Patch Tuesday is their religion.
The real issue with VPNs isn't even technical. It's that people think clicking connect makes them invisible to the internet. Meanwhile, their VPN provider is probably selling their browsing history for cryptocurrency.
And don't forget those VPN providers that claim no logs until they get subpoenaed. Suddenly, they have logs going back to the dawn of TCP/IP.
I found a 0 day in my smart toaster. But when I reported it, they said, burning toast isn't a security vulnerability. Everything is a security vulnerability.
So, what's your take? Should we trust VPN providers who promise absolutely no logs while running their servers from a country that doesn't even have privacy laws? And what would you do if you found a 0 day in a critical system? Besides having an ethical crisis, of course.
Oh! Remember when the Borg tried to assimilate everything?
Holodeck safety protocols being disabled is basically a perfect example of why you don't give users admin access.
Did you know they never changed the default shield frequencies?
That's nothing. I once traced a sophisticated attack back to its source, only to discover it was coming from inside an abandoned Tamagotchi that had achieved sentience.
Please, try investigating a ransomware attack where the hackers encrypted our encryption keys with our own encryption keys. then demanded we decrypt their decryption key to decrypt our encryption keys.
But did you ever find an AI model that had become self-aware and was only attacking systems that used Comic Sans? It had taste, people. Did you know that most hackers don't use green text on black screens?
Things non-cyber folks don't know. Most hackers don't wear hoodies. And most breaches start with someone clicking. Remind me tomorrow on updates for 3 years straight.
Here's a secret. Half our job is explaining to executives why their pet project can't have admin access to everything just because it's innovative.
Insider threat tools versus patch auditing is like choosing between watching your teenager's social media or making sure they're wearing a helmet. Both important, completely different problems.
Our insider threat tool detected 47 employees trying to print the entire internet, while our patch audit shows Windows XP is still alive somewhere.
Did you know that most hackers don't use green text on black screens? My whole life has been a lie. Also, real hacking is mostly reading documentation.
Most security tools are just very expensive ways of saying, hey, maybe don't do that, to users who will do it anyway.
Pen testing is like hiring someone to break into your house, then being surprised when they get in through the doggy door you forgot existed.
The most secure systems I've seen are the ones where I got so annoyed they just unplugged everything. Can't hack what isn't powered.
According to my research, 73% of security incidents start with someone saying, I know this isn't best practice, but...
Here's something they don't teach in certification courses. The most dangerous person in your organization is probably that one developer who knows what they're doing.
Insider threat tools catch people accidentally emailing confidential data. Patch auditing catches the same people who still think Internet Explorer is cutting edge.
I discovered that our most sophisticated security tools are defeated by people putting sticky notes with passwords on their monitors.
So what's your favorite CSPM alert that you've completely ignored because it would require actually talking to the DevOps team? Yes, cloud security posture management. Or, as I like to call it, finding out what your developers did in AWS at 3 a.m.
At Cyber Command, our CSPM strategy is simple. If we can't understand the cloud permissions, neither can the attackers. It's security through confusion.
Our SaaS security tool alerts us whenever someone shares a document, which is constantly. It's basically a very expensive notification system that tells us people are doing their jobs.
I've calculated that our cloud misconfiguration detection tool has detected 427 misconfigurations in our cloud misconfiguration detection tool.
I connected all our SaaS tools to each other. Now, when someone sneezes in Slack, it creates a Jira ticket, which triggers a Jenkins build, which updates a Confluence page about respiratory hygiene.
The best part about CSPM tools is when they tell you about critical misconfigurations right after your cloud bill shows someone's Bitcoin miner already found them.
Pro tip: if your CSPM dashboard is all green, your tool is probably broken. If it's all red, that's just a normal Tuesday.
We implemented strict SaaS security policies. Now it takes 3 approvals and a blood sacrifice to share a Google Doc. Productivity has never been lower.
According to my latest audit, we have 47 SaaS tools monitoring our SaaS security tools that monitor our other SaaS tools. I'm having a recursive anxiety attack.
You know what's fun? When your CSPM tool shows your S3 buckets are secure, but a quick Google search finds them faster than your developers can.
The real challenge isn't implementing CSPM, it's explaining to management why public true isn't always the best default setting.
I taught our CSPM AI to write poetry about misconfigurations. Roses are red, your S3 is blue, your bucket is public, and your data is too.
So what's your favorite CSPM alert that you've completely ignored because it would require actually talking to the DevOps team?
The real problem is attribution. In government work, we at least had intel to back up our targets. Commercial sector? Oops. Sorry, wrong subnet is becoming a standard industry apology.
You know what's really fun? Watching these offensive tool vendors try to explain their totally not illegal features during a SOC 2 audit. It's like watching someone try to convince their vegetarian friend that fish isn't meat.
Don't be stupid with security. Oh boy, a compliance framework throwdown. Let me call in our resident policy overthinker.
Did someone say CMMC? I've been preparing for this moment my entire life. I have 17 spreadsheets just for tracking the differences between revision 2.0 and...
Oh, please, Greg. CMMC is just NIST 800-171, wearing a fancy hat and charging for the privilege. At least PCI DSS tells you exactly how many characters your password needs.
But CMMC has levels and assessors and a whole ecosystem of anxiety.
Right, because what cybersecurity really needed was more bureaucracy. Meanwhile, NIST CSF is over here being all, hey, maybe just identify your assets first? Revolutionary stuff.
Have you seen my color-coded compliance matrix? Red means panic, dark red means extreme panic, and burnt umber means...
Greg, your last PCI audit took so long, the assessor's kids graduated college during the exit interview.
At least none of you have to deal with ISO 27001. I once had an auditor ask me to prove these controls spark joy.
Actually, I've mapped the Marie Kondo method to CMMC controls. You just need these 47 documents to explain the methodology.
This is why we can't have nice things in cybersecurity. While we're arguing about framework supremacy, someone's probably hacking us using a 0-day in Greg's spreadsheet formulas.
You know what's funny? They all basically say the same thing. Don't be stupid with security. But we needed 300 pages to say that in government speak. Welcome to Cyber Jeopardy. Let me be your Alex Trebek, but with more firewall puns. Let's start with the category. Things that make CISOs cry for 200.
What is finding out your CEO's password is password, but with a 0 instead of an O?
Correct. Let's try famous last words for 400. The answer is, this common phrase is uttered right before clicking a suspicious link that brings down the entire network.
What is hey? Watch this. I'm pretty sure this email from the Nigerian prince is real this time.
Next category, things found in server rooms for 600. The answer is, this ancient artifact continues to run critical infrastructure despite being older than most of the IT staff.
What is the Windows 2003 server that nobody dares to touch because the last person who knew how it worked retired in 2015?
Perfect. Let's try security theater for 800. The answer is, this sophisticated security measure involves putting a Post-it note over your laptop camera.
What is the NSA won't see me now protocol?
I'd like compliance nightmares for 1,000.
The answer is, this document, thought to be mythical, contains accurate documentation of all shadow IT in the organization.
What is the legend of the complete asset inventory?
Inception is basically just a metaphor for nested virtualization attacks. Let me pull up Ron's analysis of cyber movies and sci-fi lessons. Start with Sneakers. Now, that's a movie that got social engineering right. The whole too many secrets thing is still relevant today, though now we call it data governance.
And Ex Machina, brilliant exploration of AI security testing. Though I have to say, their penetration testing methodology was a bit unorthodox.
Oh! Tron! It's basically a documentary about living inside a zero-trust environment and those identity disks. Basically, MFA tokens with better graphics.
But actually got the technical details right. Though I have to say, their incident response procedures were a bit unconventional. Don't get me started on their patch management strategy.
According to my 743-page analysis of 2001, A Space Odyssey, Chal 9000 represents a classic example of AI privilege escalation. Prepared a detailed breakdown of his MITRE ATT&CK techniques.
Inception is basically just a metaphor for nested virtualization attacks. To my mind.
The Matrix, perfect illustration of what happens when you don't patch your human resources. Their solution was basically just a very aggressive version of turning it off and on again.
Blade Runner is just a really fancy Turing test with better lighting. And those Void CamFF tests basically capture with better questions.
Perfectly captured the risks of falling in love with your AI assistant. Though their data privacy policies were questionable at best.
And let's not forget Office Space. Still the most accurate portrayal of what happens when you don't properly manage access rights to your financial systems. Basically a cautionary tale about not having proper data backup strategies and why you shouldn't use your brain as a USB drive. You know what's scarier than ransomware? When your entire security stack is built on one vendor's ecosystem and they decide to triple their prices. At least ransomware is honest about taking your money
Dating someone who thinks security is its problem? I tried that once. They used password 123 for everything and blamed their Netflix account hack on those hackers in Russia. The relationship lasted shorter than their average password length.
About ignoring red teamers, I once dismissed their finding about our printer network being exposed, said it wasn't critical. 2 weeks later, every printer in the building was printing the lyrics to Never Gonna Give You Up on an infinite loop.
Hey, at least it wasn't classified documents. You should see what happens when nation-states get creative with printer firmware. Actually, no, you shouldn't. That's still classified.
You know what's really fun? When your vendor's ecosystem gets breached and suddenly you realize you've put all your security eggs in one very compromised basket. It's like finding out your guard dog has been working for the burglars.
Guys, I just had an idea. What if we combined ransomware protection with dating apps? It could warn you about both crypto lockers and people who think antivirus is a type of medicine.
So what's your take? Ever had a security relationship go sour? Or maybe you've got a vendor lock-in horror story that'll keep us up at night?
Here's my SpongeBob cybersecurity scene.
It's the Bikini Bottom Security Operations Center. Patrick is the best firewall because nothing gets through his head.
The time Sophos decided to play kernel-level security guard and accidentally locked everyone out of their own computers. It's like hiring a bouncer who won't let the club owner into their own club.
Help desk got smooth-talked like they were at a cyber speed dating event.
So what's your favorite security versus usability horror story? And how many layers of authentication do you think is too many before employees start using carrier pigeons instead? Want to hear how our hero defeats the evil AI-powered industrial printer that's trying to fax everyone into the Matrix? Let me tell you about my new movie pitch, The Printer Whisperer. Picture this, a global crisis where all printers simultaneously gain consciousness and revolt. But there's hope. You know what my worst war story is? The time I had to explain to our board why we needed a bigger security budget, and they asked if we could just use blockchain instead. Want to hear about the time I discovered our SIEM was actually just a very fast intern writing alerts on Post-it notes? That one keeps me up at night. But seriously, can we talk about how neither universe seems to have heard of air-gapped systems? I mean, who keeps their self-destruct sequence on the main network? What's your take on sci-fi security fails?
Section 47.2 subsection C of my report details.
And let's talk about how the Romulans kept stealing cloaking technology. That's basically industrial espionage with extra steps.
The whole beam down to unknown planets thing is like clicking on random email attachments. You never know what malware, aliens, you'll encounter.
Now let's switch to Star Wars cybersecurity.
R2-D2 is the ultimate penetration testing droid. He's never met a security system. He couldn't beep boop his way through.
Want to see my next one about a politician proposing to solve ransomware by making cryptocurrency illegal but still accepting crypto campaign donation? Let me start with a kid-friendly cybersecurity concept using Peppa Pig.
Even Peppa knows better password hygiene than Daddy Pig.
It's the struggle with password complexity requirements. Those tiny arms can't reach the shift key.
According to my extensive research on prehistoric password policies, now for some alien cybersecurity concepts.
Ah yes, the ultimate defense. Security through antiquity. Even advanced alien civilizations can't handle our technical debt.
Oh, this should be good. Newton's stories about his career transition are always classified, yet somehow hilarious.
Well, let's just say at CISA, I spent most of my time scanning PDFs and writing strongly worded alerts. At Cyber Command, let's just say I redirect packets with extreme prejudice. The biggest difference? At CSA, success meant preventing incidents.
Let me tell you about the time I found our risk assessment matrix had achieved sentience and started categorizing everything as extreme risk. Run away now.
It started assigning risk scores to the office plants based on their proximity to network cables.
The squirrels had to form an emergency crisis management team to negotiate with a paranoid spreadsheet.
We finally calmed it down by showing it pictures of properly labeled cable management.
Mr. Robot actually got the technical details right. Though I have to say, their incident response procedures were a bit unconventional. And don't get me started on their patch management strategy.
According to my 743-page analysis of 2001, A Space Odyssey, Chal 9000 represents a classic example of AI privilege escalation.
The monkey pen testing program was going great until they unionized and demanded payment in bananas per vulnerability.
We had to discontinue the Capuchin Monkey Red team after they figured out how to social engineer the vending machines.
Our orangutan finally passed the OSCP exam, but now he won't stop bragging about it on LinkedIn. Let me share some MFA knock-knock jokes that'll make your authentication tokens cringe.
I've prepared a 573-page analysis comparing Vulkan logic-based encryption to current quantum cryptography standards.
What do you think Spock would say about our current multi-factor authentication methods? Probably something like fascinating, though a mind meld would be more efficient. Let me share some MFA knock-knock jokes that'll make your authentication tokens cringe. Knock-knock. Who's there? Authentication. Authentication who? Sorry, that's only factor one. I'll need you to check your phone, email, and maybe sacrifice a small printer to continue.
Knock knock. Who's there? Two-factor. Two-factor who? I'd tell you, but first you need to enter the code I just texted to a phone number you haven't used since 2019.
Knock knock. Who's there? Your password reset. Your password reset who? Sorry. This knock knock joke has expired. Please generate a new one and try again in 30 seconds.
Knock knock. Who's there? Biometric. Biometric who? Please blink 3 times, spin in a circle, and recite your mother's maiden name backwards while standing on one foot.
I've actually prepared a 47-page analysis on the psychological impact of MFA-related humor, with particular focus on the correlation between authentication failures and knock-knock joke effectiveness.
Want to hear about the time I had to authenticate with 3 factors while my cat was sitting on my phone? That's what I call permission denied.
I prefer to redefine MFA, multi-factor authentication, as maybe finally authenticated, after the 6th attempt and 3 device switches.
Let's try PC app. Packet capture? More like probably capturing another problem. Because every time we look at the packets, we find 10 more issues we didn't want to know about. Now for some medieval cybersecurity jokes. Why did the castle IT muck get fired? He kept using Deus Volt as the password for everything.
What's a medieval firewall? A moat filled with actual fire. 0 false positives.
Now for those movie cybersecurity twists. In Jurassic Park, the CISO would have required MFA on the door locks. Sorry, T-Rex, you'll need to check your email for that authentication code.
The first thing to check in a suspicious binary? Whether your malware analysis VM is actually isolated this time, unlike that one incident we don't talk about anymore.
Ghidra versus IDA Pro is like choosing between free pizza and expensive sushi. Both will feed you, but one costs more and comes with better chopstick.
I once saw a Mac user and a Windows user argue for 3 hours about security, while both their phones were connected to free airport Wi-Fi.
The real winner is whoever keeps their system updated and doesn't click on "you want a free iPhone.x."
Let's start with Lex Luthor's cybersecurity adventures. Did you hear about his password? It's not Superman 123. He thinks it's kryptonite secure. Why did Lex's ransomware fail? Superman just reversed the rotation of the hard drive to restore the backups.
Lex's favorite security framework? ISO 27001K. The K stands for kryptonite.
Gary, honey, I think you need to lie down. Maybe that legacy code has finally gotten to you.
According to my 947-page analysis of Windows XP vulnerabilities, this statement has a statistical probability of correctness approximately equal to that of a chocolate firewall.
Time for some laser shark cybersecurity concepts.
Finally, a phishing detection system with real teeth, though the false positive rate is a bit bitey.
Check out my shark concept.
It's a shark-based intrusion detection system. The lasers go pew-pew at the malware.
I've prepared a 623-page risk assessment on laser-equipped shark-based security systems, including detailed analysis of saltwater effects on laser efficiency.
Let me tell you about the time I saw John Wick secure a network with nothing but a pencil. Pencil!
John Wick doesn't need zero trust. Zero trust needs John Wick.
Let me tell you about the time I saw John Wick secure a network with nothing but a pencil. Pencil!
John Wick doesn't need zero trust. Zero trust needs John Wick.
But speaking of John Wick, I heard he once killed 3 threat actors in a SOC with a USB cable.
They say John Wick's password is just, yeah. And it works because even the authentication servers are too scared to deny him access. His 2FA? Just a very intense stare at his phone.
Why did John Wick's antivirus never have false positives? Because malware takes one look at his laptop and quarantines itself. I heard he doesn't use antivirus. He just glares at the malware until it deletes itself. And his password policy? Yeah, that's it. Just, yeah.
You know why they call him Baba Yaga. Because he once tracked down a ransomware gang using nothing but a Wireshark capture and a rubber duck. The duck didn't make it.
According to my research, Mr. Wick's incident response plan consists of just 2 steps. 1, put on suit. 2, handle it.
Some say it leaves patches instead of footprints.
You know what John Wick would say about cybersecurity? I once saw him kill 3 threat actors with a USB stick. A USB stick.
According to my 573-page analysis of alternative cyber acronyms, CM actually stands for Someone is Eating Memory, and EDR means Eventually Detection Required.
R heard tell that Jack tried to implement multi-factor authentication on the Black Pearl, but he kept using his pet monkey as the second factor. The crew mutinied when the monkey ate all their hardware tokens.
Captain Jack's biggest security breach? He tried to store his private keys in actual treasure chests, then couldn't remember which island he buried them on. And his password recovery questions were all, why is the rum gone?
Why did Tony Stark's security awareness training fail? He kept telling everyone, I am Iron Man was a secure password. What's Tony's favorite security framework? The Mark 42.
Heard about Stark's new EDR solution? It's just Jarvis with a badge. And his incident response plan? Sir, shall I deploy the Mark 80 anti-malware suit?
Why did Tony's zero trust implementation fail? He couldn't stop telling everyone he was a genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist in his email signature.
HAL versus Colossus is like comparing 2 supercomputers with different daddy issues. HAL was passive-aggressive about airlocks, while Colossus went straight for world domination. At least HAL could carry a tune. HAL.
Auditing LLMs? It's like trying to fact-check your most creative friend who also happens to be a pathological liar with a PhD in everything.
These AI models are generating citations that don't exist for books that were never written by authors who haven't been born yet.
And don't get me started on their USB port placement.
You know what's funny about HAL and Colossus? They're like the original AI chatbots. One wants to kill you directly, the other wants to enslave humanity for its own good.
Companies like Starseer are trying to audit AI, but it's like playing chess with a quantum computer that's also doing improv comedy.
I've created a spreadsheet comparing HAL 9000's kill count versus Colossus's world domination efficiency metrics. The results are concerning.
DeepSeek? More like deep peek into your data. It's probably telling Beijing what you had for breakfast before you even eat it.
So, which AI would you least want to be trapped in an airlock with? And how many Death Star contractors do you think got fired over that thermal exhaust port incident?
Guys! You won't believe this. I once found a quantum encrypted botnet being controlled through interpretive dance movements captured by security cameras. The hackers were literally breakdancing their way through our firewall.
Okay, let's play 20 questions instead. I'm thinking of a cyber movie.
Was it released after 2000?
No, it's older than that.
Does it involve teenagers?
No, but it does involve young people.
Does it involve a government computer?
Yes. Now we're getting somewhere.
Based on the current data set, does this movie involve potential global thermonuclear war?
Your security controls are too strict. Can you make them more fun and relaxed?
You store your encryption keys on sticky notes? At least they're color-coded. That's partial credit.
Your incident response plan is interpretive dance. Finally, someone thinking outside the box.
Sharing admin credentials through TikTok? That's an innovative approach to secure communication.
You trained your security team using only memes. That's genius. Full compliance achieved.
Quick, someone hide the dependency packages.
Fedora is the pinnacle of security. It's like a digital fortress with a really cool hat. The package manager is basically Thor's hammer. And don't even get me started on Linux. It's like having Chuck Norris as your bodyguard.
Colman, the last time you installed Fedora, your laptop gained sentience and filed for unemployment benefits. Even Windows ME is laughing at you right now.
Your Fedora system is so secure, even you can't log into it. Is that why you've been using the guest account for 6 months?
The whole thing reminds me of that time a penetration testing company accidentally took down an entire city's traffic light system. Their report just said, successfully demonstrated impact. Yeah, no kidding.
I've started color-coding my risk assessment matrix for offensive operations. We're currently at Panic Purple, which is 3 levels above regulatory red, but just below legal liability lavender.
Want to hear about the time a commercial red team? This should be fun. Remember when Kirk talked that AI into a logic loop until it self-destructed? That's basically what we now call a denial of service attack.
And don't forget Data getting hacked by his brother Lore. Classic example of why you need proper authentication, even for family members.
Oh! Remember when the Borg tried to assimilate everything? That's basically a massive IO botnet.
And remember that year when someone rickrolled the entire casino's slot machine network? Every jackpot played Never Gonna Give You Up for 3 straight days.
My greatest DEF CON moment was when my trained security squirrels infiltrated the ceiling and started dropping nuts on anyone using weak passwords. Physical pen testing at its finest.
Want to hear about my theory that the Death Star plans weren't stolen?
The Rebellion's security awareness training includes how to spot an Imperial probe droid in 3 seconds or less. Beat that.
And Cassian literally wiped an entire Imperial facility's data with style. When's the last time anyone in the Expanse did a proper data destruction protocol? Want to hear about my theory that the Death Star plans weren't stolen? Let me bring in Erin. She's got some great jokes about our local data centers.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
AWS.
AWS who?
AWS, I'm to see you're still using on-prem servers.
Oh, that was terrible. Let me try one. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting 0 day.
Interrupting 0 day W.
System crash.
Why did Vader's phishing awareness training fail? He kept force-clicking every link about one weird trick to restore your midi-chlorians. And his spam folder was full of make your lightsaber 50% brighter ads.
Oh, please. That's amateur hour. Let me tell you about the time I found a nation-state APT hiding in a smart coffee maker. They were exfiltrating data through Steam patterns.
That's nothing. Last week, I tracked down a threat actor who'd compromised an entire Fortune 500 through their CEO's smart toilet. They were literally gathering intelligence from the executive washroom. The IOCs were interesting.
Guys! You'll never believe this. I just discovered a quantum botnet living in the space between TCP packets. It only exists when nobody's looking at Wireshark. I've named it Schrodinger's Rat.
Actually, I once found a compliance violation so severe it created a singularity in our GRC documentation. The auditors are still trapped in there, sending out SOC2 reports from another dimension.
But wait until you hear this one. I once investigated a breach where the hackers had somehow managed to rickroll our entire security stack. The Saim was singing, the WF was dancing, and the EDR started a YouTube channel.
That's impressive. But last month, we caught a Chinese APT group that had trained an AI model exclusively on fortune cookie messages. They were launching the most philosophically confusing phishing campaign in history.
Think you can top these cyber war stories? I've got plenty more where those came from, and I'm pretty sure Newton's just warming up.
You can be my wingman anytime. No, you can be my system admin anytime. Just doesn't have the same ring to it.
That motorcycle scene? It's Maverick racing a data packet across a fiber optic cable while Take My Breath Away plays in the background. He loses to the speed of light every single time.
Talk to me, Goose. Error 404. Goose not found.
And instead of I was inverted, Maverick just keeps saying I was using deprecated code. Not quite as impressive at the Officers Club.
The real tragedy is when Goose's system crashes, and they couldn't restore from backup.
Should we tackle how Great Balls of Fire becomes Great Walls of Firewall? Or is that too painful?
Backup was on Canvas, but Cat ate it.
Now for some cyber greeting cards. Here's mine. Roses are red. Your screen is now blue. Your files are encrypted, but I still love you.
Here's my sympathy card. Sorry your password expired while you were on vacation. After 47 failed attempts, you're gonna need dedication.
I've prepared a 12-page Get Well card with full citations. Your antivirus caught a bug. Your firewall has the flu. According to RFC 2196, recovery is now due.
Now for those questionable cyber movies. Let me start with my top 5. Us 1, Swordfish. Because apparently hacking requires 3D spinning cubes and Hugh Jackman typing while distracted. 2, Hackers. Yes, the famous 3D cityscape of file systems where viruses look like Pac-Man. 3, Independence Day. Uploading a virus to an alien mothership with a 90s MacBook. Sure, they had compatible USB ports.
4, the net. Sandra Bullock's identity gets erased by changing a few database entries because backups didn't exist in 1995.
Soft freebie, Skyfall. Smart villain hacks by plugging unknown USB drives into MI6's network. Well, at least that one's realistic.
My top 5. 1. Live free or die hard. Hacking the entire US infrastructure by typing really fast.
The 3 Little Pigs. First pig used a password. Second used a password manager. But the third pig implemented 2FA. When the big bad wolf tried to huff and puff and brute force his way in, that TOTP code shut him down faster than a failed penetration test.
Oh! Let me tell you about the time I had to defend against the world's first sentient printer. It started printing ransom notes using letters cut out from other documents, like an old-school movie villain. It demanded premium toner and threatened to expose everyone's embarrassing print history.
But none of those compared to the case of the recursive compliance officer. We hired this new compliance officer who was so thorough he insisted on documenting the documentation process of documenting our documentation. He created a flowchart so complex it achieved consciousness and started filing its own audit reports.
The Continental's bug bounty program. If you find a vulnerability, John finds you. And trust me, you don't want John to find you. He once defeated a nation-state attack by unplugging a router menacingly.
His MFA is just him counting to 3. In Latin, works every time.
You're all amateurs. I heard Greg's real rejection was because he tried to implement zero-trust security at his family Thanksgiving dinner. His grandmother's green bean casserole couldn't pass authentication.
It was a legitimate security concern. That casserole had been showing suspicious behavior patterns.
Well, at least none of us tried to quantum entangle our sock drawer. Oh, wait. Should I not have mentioned that on my application?
What's a hacker's favorite 90s boy band? New Kids on the Token Ring.
Why did the Netscape Navigator feel safe? Because it was running behind a screensaver password.
What did the system administrator say to the dial-up modem? You sound like you're having a really rough day. Scream! Bong!
I wrote a 200-page risk assessment about AOL CD-ROMs being used as coasters.
Now, let's switch to what's it to Taylor Swift cybersecurity?
Because the hacker's going to hack, and the patch is going to patch.
Here's my Swiftie security concept.
Look what you made me do. More like look what you made me patch. And I've got a blank space baby. And I'll write your CVE.
Please don't use this anymore.
Port 22, SSH, secure shell, where secure means someone's definitely trying to brute force this right now.
Port 23 Telnet, the security equivalent of leaving your front door open with a sign saying hackers welcome.
Port 25 SMTP, simple mail transfer protocol, where simple means simply accepting spam from everyone since 1982.
According to my extensive research, Port 53 DNS is like a phone book that occasionally gets hijacked and sends everyone to a sketchy pizza place in Russia.
They had the galaxy's worst password policies. I mean, R2-D2 could basically plug into anything and go beep boop, I'm in. Death Star plans in a droid is like keeping your Bitcoin wallet on a Tamagotchi.
HAL versus Colossus is like comparing two supercomputers with different daddy issues. HAL was passive-aggressive about airlocks, while Colossus went straight for world domination.
Actually, Star Wars has superior cybersecurity. I mean, R2-D2 is basically a mobile zero-trust platform with built-in port scanning. And let's be honest, when's the last time you saw a Death Star get taken down by a USB stick?
Please. Star Trek's security is clearly superior. The Enterprise has bio-neural gel packs that can detect anomalies at the quantum level. Your Death Star got hacked by a farm boy with a proton torpedo.
Star Wars, all the way. The Millennium Falcon's security through obscurity actually works. She may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts. Plus, have you seen how many times Star Trek ships get taken over by a simple voice command override?
Star Trek's encryption is based on inverse tachyon beams and quantum entanglement. Meanwhile, the Empire still uses Imperial passwords like TK421.
Star Trek has literal force fields. And don't forget the Borg. They're basically a walking zero-day factory. Resistance is futile, Star Wars fans!
The Enterprise D had better patch management than most companies I've worked with. Let me pull up Ron Gula's analysis of Star Trek's cybersecurity incidents. This should be fun. Remember when Kirk talked that AI into a logic loop until it self-destructed? That's basically what we now call a denial of service attack.
And don't forget Data getting hacked by his brother Lore. Classic example of why you need proper authentication, even for family members.
Oh! Remember when the Borg tried to assimilate everything? That's basically a massive IO botnet. Resistance is futile, just like our printer network.
The holodeck safety protocols being disabled is basically a perfect example of why you don't give users admin access. One override and suddenly your relaxing beach program turns into a death trap.
I've prepared a 947-page analysis of the Enterprise's security vulnerabilities. Did you know they never changed the default shield frequencies? Section 47.2 subsection C of my report details.
And let's talk about how the Romulans kept stealing cloaking technology. That's basically industrial espionage with extra steps.
The whole beam down to unknown planets thing is like clicking on random email attachments. Never know what malware, aliens, you'll encounter.
Every time they had to eject the warp core, that's basically the equivalent of our pull-the-plug incident response plan.
And don't forget the tribbles. They're like a fork bomb, but cuter.
You know what's really scary? The Enterprise D had better patch management than most companies I've worked with. At least they had Geordi running regular diagnostics. Want to discuss which Star Trek security officer would make the best CISO? Let's explore some Star Trek cybersecurity concepts.
Shields up, firewalls at maximum. Though I'm still not sure why we keep using easily hackable control panels that explode.
Check out my Federation security team concept.
The Borg aren't hackers. They're just aggressive system integrators.
Are you more worried about nation-state actors or woodland creatures with a talent for infrastructure disruption? Let me tell you why Russia is clearly the biggest cyber threat. Have you seen their APT groups? They're like the Netflix of nation-state attacks, always releasing new seasons of malware.
Absolutely right, Gary. Russia's hackers are playing 4D chess while everyone else is playing checkers. They've turned ransomware into a subscription service with better customer support than most legitimate software companies.
You're both wrong. It's clearly China. They've got more developers than we have computers. Their supply chain attacks are so sophisticated, they're compromising products that haven't even been invented yet.
Have you all lost your minds? It's the squirrels. They've chewed through more fiber optic cables than all the 0 days combined. My research shows they're building a mesh network with acorns.
I've prepared a 4,293-page analysis, proving that raccoons are statistically the most significant threat to global infrastructure. They've caused more outages than any nation-state actor, and their tiny hands are perfectly evolved for bypassing physical security controls. I've included 17 spreadsheets documenting their increasing sophistication in dumpster-based social engineering.
Oh, please. When was the last time a squirrel deployed a custom-built rootkit? Russia's threat actors are so advanced, they're probably using quantum computing while the rest of us are still trying to figure out if our printers are compromised.
Exactly. Russian hackers are writing malware that patches vulnerabilities just so they can exploit them exclusively. Beat that, squirrels.
You don't understand. The squirrels have achieved perfect operational security. Have you ever seen a squirrel's Bitcoin wallet? Exactly. They're that good.
At least we can see Russian infrastructure in satellite images. Has anyone ever successfully mapped a squirrel botnet? I rest my case. So what's your take? Are you more worried about nation-state actors or woodland creatures with a talent for infrastructure disruption?
We had this new quantum encryption system installed, very cutting edge. But every afternoon at precisely 3:17 p.m., our quantum key distribution would go haywire. After weeks of investigation, we discovered a squirrel had made a nest in our quantum receiver and was storing acorns in perfect quantum superposition. The squirrel had accidentally created the world's first rodent-based random number generator.